же така?
16 seconds.
Vary from these instructions and I'm gonna kill you.
No witnesses.
Prima, you got A side, front, follow.
Motherfucker sucking me.
Who you are, get in the car. Take me to the moon.
Two, maybe three guys.
Said you steal, we ignore, we anticipate. Fuck! What we will not tolerate. Stand, little Johnny.
Who the fuck do you think you're smother?
This is my home. You cannot run around.
It says, I'm here.
You must have a death wish, pal. What the fuck?
Maybe our best interest is to tie a cinder block around your waist.
You're supposed to stand for something, punk.
Before you tell me you're not gonna talk.
Why don't you get out of here and go fun?
I swear to God. Beat it!
I don't have a lot of time.
Just let me go. Just let...
Can I see it?
Oh, you what?
Everybody settle now. Anything you say, so if you tell them to...
Did this, you motherfucker!
Yeah,
Fuck you, you motherfucker. I got nothing. I'm coming for you. You think you're motherfucker?
Hey guys, today we're diving into the gritty, satisfying world of The Equalizer from 2014, starring the incomparable Denzel Washington. If you've ever wanted to see what happens when a seemingly normal guy decides he's had enough of the world's nonsense, then you're in for a treat. We follow Robert McCall, a man whose past is as mysterious as the perfect alignment of his spice rack. He lives a quiet, almost monk-like existence, dedicated to routine and helping others with surprisingly precise life advice. This is a passion project for me, and a like or a subscribe is the best way to show your support. So if you're on board, join the crew. If not, thanks for watching anyway. Robert works at a Home Depot-esque store, which, let's be honest, is practically a superhero origin story waiting to happen for any handy individual. He's the kind of guy who can fix anything, organize everything, and probably tell you the exact torque required for a spiritual awakening. Every night he can be found in the same diner, at the same booth, reading classic novels, often sharing philosophical musings with Teri, a young sex worker. Their conversations are the only real breaks in his disciplined solitude, offering a glimpse into a humanity he mostly keeps hidden under a calm, composed exterior. He's trying to find peace, to bury a past that clearly involved a lot more than just stacking shelves and recommending power drills. He truly wants to be just Bob, the friendly Home Depot employee, but fate, as it often does, has other plans for a man with a particular set of skills. One night, Robert arrives at the diner only to find Teri's usual vibrant energy replaced by a horrific stillness. Her face is a canvas of bruises, her spirit visibly crushed. The casual chat about books and dreams is shattered as she haltingly explains what happened. She tried to quit her life as a sex worker. Her pimp, Slavi, beat her savagely as a lesson. The details are grim, the injustice palpable, and the weight of her suffering hangs heavy in the air. Robert, always observant, notes every detail, every wince, every tear. The familiar clang of the coffee cups and the soft murmur of diner chatter seem to fade into the background as he processes the raw brutality of her situation. His usual Zen-like calm begins to crack, not with outward rage, but with an internal decision solidifying. He watches her being loaded into an ambulance, the flashing red and blue lights painting a stark contrast against the dark night, a visual siren call for justice. It's a turning point. The quiet observer can no longer stand idly by. He's had enough. The world has pushed too far, and now the Bob from Home Depot facade is about to crumble, revealing the steel beneath. His gaze is fixed, his purpose clear, even if his intentions remain unspoken. Armed with nothing but a cool demeanor and a stopwatch. Yes, a stopwatch because efficiency is key. Folks, Robert strides into the dimly lit headquarters of the Russian mob, where Teri's tormentors hang out. He finds Slavi and his 4 goons lounging around, looking precisely as menacing as you'd expect from low-level thugs who enjoy hurting people. Robert offers them a simple deal. Let Teri go, give her 20 grand for her troubles, and he'll walk away. Slavi, predictably, laughs him off, confident in his numbers advantage. Big mistake. Robert's eyes narrow, assessing every angle, every weapon, every weak point. The ticking of his stopwatch becomes the only sound that truly matters, counting down the seconds until chaos. With a practiced snap, he unleashes hell. The first punch is a bone-rattling crack, followed by a flurry of precise, calculated strikes. A thug is disarmed with a swift twist, his own knife turned against him. Another finds a bottle of vodka introduced to his skull with violent force. The fight is a brutal ballet of controlled aggression. Each blow connects with a sickening thud, each movement economical and deadly. He uses the environment to his advantage. A corkscrew becomes a weapon, a wire a garrote. In less than 30 seconds, all 5 men are incapacitated, leaving the room a wreckage of broken glass, shattered furniture, and whimpering thugs. The silence that follows is deafening, punctuated only by Robert's calm breathing and the triumphant click of his stopwatch. He leaves a single $20,000 bill on the table, a stark reminder of the deal they refused, and walks out, leaving a trail of stunned, bloodied mobsters in his wake. That's what happens when you mess with a man who timed his rampage. News travels fast in the criminal underworld, especially when 5 of your guys end up looking like they lost a fight with a blender. This little incident piques the interest of Pushkin, the Russian oligarch who owns the entire operation. Pushkin is less than pleased, sending his top enforcer, the impeccably dressed and chillingly efficient Frank Masters, to Boston. Frank is not your average thug. He's a strategist, a cleanup artist, and utterly ruthless. When he steps off his private jet, you just know things are about to get real. His arrival is all business, no pleasantries, just a cold, calculating intensity. He immediately starts sniffing around, trying to figure out who dared to mess with Pushkin's assets. He sees the scene of the crime, the way the bodies were dispatched, the precision, the lack of struggle. It's clear this wasn't some random street fight. This was professional, deliberate, and frankly, a bit unsettling for someone like Frank, who prides himself on being the best at what he does. The local thugs are terrified, stammering out vague descriptions of an ordinary man who moved like a phantom. Frank is unimpressed but intrigued. He starts his meticulous investigation, piecing together the events, talking to anyone and everyone, leaving a trail of fear in his wake. His methods are psychological, often just as effective as physical violence. He's like a bloodhound on the scent. And he's not going to stop until he finds the Equalizer and, presumably, makes him regret every single second of that efficient 30-second takedown. Back at Home Depot, Robert McCall continues his day job, seemingly oblivious to the storm he's stirred up. But his personal crusade for justice isn't limited to Russian mobsters. He's also running an unofficial, highly effective help desk for his colleagues and friends. There's Ralphie, a young co-worker desperate to pass his security guard exam. Robert, with his uncanny ability to instantly grasp and explain complex concepts, gives him a crash course in security protocol, turning Ralphie into a surprisingly competent guard, ready to face whatever minor retail threats come his way. It's almost adorable how he mentors the guy. Then there's the matter of Ralphie's mother's stolen necklace. The family heirloom was snatched during a robbery, and the police aren't making much headway. Robert, sensing Ralphie's despair, takes it upon himself to equalize that situation too. He tracks down the fence a man named Teri who immediately underestimates McCall because, well, everyone does at first. Robert gives Teri a choice: return the necklace or face the consequences of messing with someone's cherished memories. The visual cue here isn't a direct fight, but the shift in Teri's eyes as he realizes he's dealing with someone far beyond his league. Robert's calm, unwavering stare and precise threats are often more terrifying than any physical blow. The necklace is returned, Ralphie's mother is overjoyed, and Robert silently continues his work, a guardian angel with a toolkit and an unwavering sense of right and wrong. He's building a reputation, not with a cape, but with quiet, devastating efficiency. Meanwhile, Frank Masters, like a really well-dressed shark, continues to circle. He's not just relying on brute force. He's got brains and resources. He's piecing together the puzzle, following every lead, and eventually he finds the diner footage. The cameras capture Robert McCall sitting in his usual booth, talking with Teri. The connection clicks into place with a chilling finality. Frank has his man, or at least he thinks he does. He probably thinks, oh, it's just some old dude from Home Depot? This'll be easy. Big mistake number 2 for the Russian contingent. Frank observes Robert's routine, his quiet habits, his unassuming nature. It probably makes him even more confident that he's dealing with an amateur. But Frank is thorough. He sends his men to tail Robert, to learn his patterns, to find his weak spots. We see scenes of cars discreetly following Robert, figures lurking in the shadows, and Frank himself poring over maps and surveillance photos. The air thickens with the sense of impending confrontation. The hunters are becoming the hunted, but they don't know it yet. The metallic click of a camera shutter, the faint hum of a surveillance van, these are the auditory cues of Frank closing in. The tension is almost unbearable, a silent countdown to a clash of two very different but equally dangerous forces. Frank Masters is about to learn that you never judge a book by its cover, especially when that book happens to be a retired assassin who just wants to read in peace. Frank Masters decides to make his move, opting for a late-night home invasion. His men, a squad of burly, confident goons, storm Robert's apartment, expecting to catch him off guard. What they don't realize is that Robert McCall is never truly off guard. He's practically the embodiment of always be prepared. The door splinters, the crash echoing through the quiet apartment. But instead of finding a panicked old man, they find an empty bed. Robert, ever the master of anticipating threats, had already set a simple, ingenious trap. The lights flick off, plunging the apartment into disorienting darkness. Then the real fun begins. The men stumble, cursing, trying to adjust their eyes, while Robert, moving with the silent grace of a predator, uses the shadows and his intimate knowledge of his own space to his advantage. A garrote made from a shower curtain rod slices through the air, finding its target. A heavy object from a bookshelf becomes a blunt weapon, connecting with a sickening thud. The sounds are a symphony of surprise and pain. The gasps of air, the scraping of furniture, the soft thwack of a fist against flesh. Each of Frank's men goes down quickly, efficiently, taken out before they even know what hit them. It's less a fight and more a systematic dismantling. Robert is a phantom in his own home, turning his sanctuary into a deadly maze. By the time the last thug drops with a heavy sigh, the lights flicker back on, revealing the silent, broken forms on the floor. Robert stands calmly, not a hair out of place, proving that even in his pajamas, he's still the deadliest man in the room. Frank's team just got a brutal wake-up call, and probably a few broken bones to go with it. After that rather illuminating welcome wagon incident at his apartment, Robert decides it's time to stop playing cat and mouse and introduce himself properly. He orchestrates a meeting with Frank Masters, a masterclass in psychological warfare. Robert shows up to Frank's lavish hotel suite, not with a bang, but with a quiet, unnerving confidence. Their first face-to-face is a tense, electrifying stare down. Frank, ever the intimidating figure, tries to assert dominance, barking orders and making veiled threats about Robert's past and his loved ones. He assumes Robert is just some old grunt who got lucky. But Robert, with a calm, almost amused expression, peels back the layers of Frank's carefully constructed menace. He reveals that he knows exactly who Frank is, where he came from, and what he's truly capable of, or rather not capable of, when faced with a true professional. The sound of Frank's frustrated sighs, the slight tremor in his voice, betray his growing unease. Robert speaks in measured tones, his words like perfectly aimed darts, each one hitting a nerve. He details Frank's own history, his vulnerabilities, and effectively turns the tables. It's clear that Robert isn't just a threat. He's an enigma, a ghost from Frank's own past, a force that cannot be bought or intimidated. Frank's confident smirk slowly fades, replaced by a genuine flicker of fear. He realizes he's not dealing with a vigilante. He's dealing with a legend, a phantom who had retired but has now been rudely awakened. This isn't just a warning. It's a promise, delivered with a chillingly polite smile. Robert essentially tells Frank, "You came into my world, and now you're going to regret it." The air practically crackles with unspoken threats and the grim understanding of what's to come. To truly grasp the gravity of the situation, the narrative takes a brief detour into Robert's shadowy past. We cut to Susan Plummer, Robert's former colleague and friend from his Black Ops days. She's being interviewed by the FBI, who are frantically trying to understand who this Equalizer is. Susan, a woman who clearly knows how dangerous Robert can be, explains his true identity. Robert McCall isn't just a former spy. He was one of the most elite, highly trained, and utterly lethal operatives the government ever produced. A man who could dismantle an entire network with nothing more than a toothpick and a grim resolve. The FBI agents, initially skeptical, listen with growing alarm as she describes his unparalleled skills, his tactical genius, and his almost superhuman ability to remain undetected. She recounts how he faked his own death to escape that life, to find some semblance of peace and normalcy. The auditory cue here is the hushed reverence in Susan's voice, conveying the weight of his legacy, juxtaposed with the rapid-fire questions from the bewildered agents. The realization dawns on them. They're not dealing with a rogue cop or a disgruntled veteran. They're dealing with a ghost, a legend who has been roused from his self-imposed retirement. This revelation clarifies everything. Why Robert is so impossibly good, so efficient, so utterly terrifying to those who cross him. It's a moment of profound understanding, not just for the FBI, but for the audience. Robert McCall isn't just playing Vigilante. He's reverting to a default setting of extreme surgical justice, a setting he'd tried desperately to switch off. The quiet hum of the FBI office contrasts with the explosive implications of her words. Pushkin, feeling the heat, and probably a slight dent in his perfectly tailored ego, decides to show Robert exactly how far his reach extends. His men grab Ralphie, Robert's innocent, sweet-natured co-worker from Home Depot. The scene is chillingly swift and brutal. Ralphie, who was just trying to pass his security exam and live his best life, is thrown into a van, his muffled cries barely heard over the squeal of tires. Frank Masters personally oversees the interrogation, which is really just code for torture. He wants to know everything about Robert, and he's not afraid to inflict unimaginable pain to get it. The metallic clanging of tools, the sharp intake of breath, the muted thuds of violence. These are the grim soundtrack to Ralphie's ordeal. The visual of Ralphie, terrified and beaten, is designed to hit Robert where it hurts. This isn't about money or territory. It's about making Robert suffer by hurting those he cares about. It's a calculated, cruel move designed to provoke the Equalizer, to force him out of the shadows and into a confrontation on Pushkin's terms. Frank even takes Robert's other Home Depot friends hostage, bringing them to the store to lure him. The stakes are raised exponentially. Robert isn't just fighting for abstract justice anymore. He's fighting to protect the fragile, innocent lives he's come to care for. The quiet, calm exterior of his daily life has been ripped apart, forcing him back into the brutal reality of his past. The sense of dread is palpable. The cheerful aisles of Home Depot are about to become a very bloody battleground. This is a game changer, pushing Robert beyond his carefully constructed boundaries. With his friends' lives on the line, Robert does what he does best. He prepares. He returns to his natural habitat, the Home Depot, not to stock shelves, but to turn it into an elaborate, deadly fortress. This is where the movie truly leans into its action-first focus, and frankly, it's glorious. We see him moving with silent, precise intent, transforming a temple of home improvement into a house of horrors for the Russian mob. He rigs tripwires that activate pressure washers, turning mundane cleaning equipment into devastating obstacles. He sets up electrical traps in water puddles, demonstrating a clear understanding of both physics and pain. Paint cans become improvised bombs, delivering explosive, colorful, and probably very painful concussions. Power tools, drills, saws, nail guns are strategically placed, ready to be wielded with expert precision. Each step is deliberate, each trap meticulously set. The rhythmic clatter of tools, the soft thud of a dropped heavy object, the low hum of electricity, these sounds build a symphony of impending doom. He knows the store like the back of his hand, every aisle, every blind spot, every potential weapon. It's a testament to his intelligence and his incredible adaptability. The visual of him moving through the darkened store, a silent architect of destruction, is chilling. He's not just a fighter. He's an engineer of vengeance, using the mundane to create mayhem. The irony of using consumer goods to take down a crime syndicate is almost poetic, like a dark, violent commercial for DIY gone terribly wrong. This is the moment where Bob from Home Depot fully embraces his inner equalizer, and the store is his canvas for retribution. The wolves enter the sheep's den, but these sheep have teeth, and a very angry shepherd. Frank Master's men, a large contingent of well-armed thugs, cautiously enter the darkened Home Depot. The silence is unnerving, broken only by their heavy boots echoing on the concrete floor and the anxious whispers among them. They're expecting a man, perhaps a fight, but they're not expecting a ghost in a hardware store. Robert, a master of stealth and psychological warfare, lets them come. The first trap is sprung with a sudden, violent spray of water from a pressure washer, disorienting and soaking a group of thugs, making them easy targets for a swift, brutal takedown from the shadows. The whoosh of the water, followed by surprised yells, breaks the quiet tension. Then, the real fun begins. A thug reaches for a light switch, only to complete an electrical circuit designed by Robert, sending a jolt of raw power through him, a loud thunk as he collapses. The air fills with confused shouts, the scrape of boots, and the metallic clang of dropped weapons. Robert moves through the labyrinthine aisles with uncanny agility, using his intimate knowledge of the store to appear and disappear, striking with lethal precision. He's a blur of motion, using anything and everything as a weapon. A sheet of plywood becomes a shield and a battering ram. A paint stirrer becomes a sharpened stake, driven home with a sickening crunch. The fear in the thug's eyes grows with each fallen comrade, realizing they're not just fighting a man. They're fighting the store itself. It's an escalating symphony of violence, with Robert conducting the chaos from the shadows. The flickering emergency lights and the long, distorted shadows add to the surreal, terrifying atmosphere. This isn't a fair fight, but then again, Robert McCall never promised fair. As the body count rises, so does the ingenuity of Robert's attacks. This isn't just a fight. It's a masterclass in improvised weaponry. He grabs a power drill, using it not to bore holes in wood, but to incapacitate a thug with a grotesque precision, the whirring sound chillingly effective. A nail gun becomes a rapid-fire projectile weapon, sending steel spikes flying with a sharp thwack into his targets, pinning them to shelves, eliciting guttural screams. Imagine getting nailed to a wall by a Home Depot employee. That's a story you won't live to tell. He turns the store's forklift into a battering ram, smashing through obstacles and scattering thugs like bowling pins. The screech of metal on concrete, the shattering of display cases, the deafening roar of machinery. The store is alive with destruction. Frank's men, once confident, are now pure, unadulterated terror. They're stumbling, panicking, firing wildly into the darkness, hitting everything but Robert. He's always one step ahead, anticipating their moves, using the store's layout to disappear and reappear at will. He uses a chain to create a devastating swing, knocking multiple men off their feet. The air is thick with the scent of sawdust, spilled paint, and fear. It's a relentless, brutal ballet of retribution. Every clang, every thud, every cry of pain serves as a grim testament to Robert's unwavering resolve. He's not just defending his friends. He's sending a message, etched in blood and splintered wood, that some lines simply cannot be crossed. This sequence truly highlights the action-first focus, as the choreography of violence becomes a central character itself. Robert McCall, the silent guardian of the power tool aisle. After systematically dismantling Frank's entire crew with a chilling efficiency that would make MacGyver blush, Robert finally corners Frank Masters. The store is a wasteland of shattered displays, overturned shelves, and incapacitated bodies. The air is heavy with the scent of gunpowder and the metallic tang of blood. Frank, once so composed and menacing, is now battered, desperate, and utterly terrified. He's tried to negotiate, to threaten, to beg, but Robert is beyond reason. He stands over Frank, his face grim, his eyes reflecting the cold fury of a man who has had his peace shattered. The silence between them is profound, broken only by the ragged breathing of Frank. Robert gives him one last chance, a final offer of redemption, or perhaps just a final moment of choice. Frank, blinded by his loyalty to Pushkin and his own twisted code, refuses to back down. He makes a desperate lunge, a final futile act of defiance. Big mistake. Robert, with an almost bored precision, uses a bolt gun, typically used for securing heavy materials, to deliver the ultimate gruesome equalizer. The sharp thwack of the bolt hitting its mark is sickeningly final. Frank drops, his reign of terror ending in a pool of his own blood amidst the very aisles he thought he could control. The scene is visceral, brutal, and utterly without remorse. Robert then calmly releases his friends, who are understandably traumatized but safe. His work in Boston is done for now. He's cleaned up the local mess, but the source of the rot, Pushkin, still remains, a festering wound that Robert knows must be addressed. The thud of Frank's body hitting the floor is not just an end. It's a promise of what's to come. With Frank Masters dealt with, Robert knows the job isn't truly finished. The head of the Hydra, Pushkin himself, still breathes easy in Moscow, oblivious to the force he's unleashed. Robert, ever methodical, prepares for the final stage of his personal war. We see him on a plane, a solitary figure amidst a sea of ordinary travelers, his face impassive as he gazes out at the clouds. The hum of the jet engines is a stark contrast to the cacophony of violence he's just left behind, a quiet prelude to the storm he's about to unleash. There's no fanfare, no dramatic pronouncements, just a grim determination etched into his features. This isn't about revenge, not truly. It's about balancing the scales, about ensuring that those who inflict pain and terror on the innocent pay the ultimate price. He knows the risks, the sheer scale of taking on a Russian oligarch on his home turf, but hesitation is not in Robert's vocabulary. He's going to Russia not as an agent, but as a force of nature, an unstoppable righteous fury. The vast, anonymous cityscape of Moscow slowly comes into view, cold and imposing, mirroring the task at hand. The subtle click of his seatbelt being fastened, the quiet rustle of his coat, these small, almost insignificant sounds underscore the magnitude of his journey. He's crossed oceans to finish what he started, to eradicate the source of the evil that threatened his quiet life and the lives of those he chose to protect. Pushkin is about to meet his equalizer, and it won't be a friendly encounter. Robert McCall, using his unparalleled stealth and tactical genius, infiltrates Pushkin's heavily guarded estate in Moscow. It's a fortress, but to Robert, it's just another Home Depot aisle, ripe for exploitation. He moves through the shadows, avoiding security systems and armed guards with the effortless grace of a ghost. The thwack of silenced tranquilizer darts, the soft thud of falling guards. These are the subtle sounds of his infiltration. He finds Pushkin in his opulent bathroom, luxuriating in his untouchable wealth, completely unaware that his reckoning has arrived. Pushkin is a portrait of smug villainy, surrounded by marble and gold, a stark contrast to the gritty reality Robert has just brought from Boston. Robert confronts him not with a flourish, but with a cold, almost surgical calm. There's no big speech, just a quiet, unwavering resolve. Pushkin, initially arrogant, quickly realizes the gravity of his situation as Robert explains, in chilling detail, why he's there. The power dynamic shifts entirely. The all-powerful oligarch is now a terrified, trapped animal. Robert uses Pushkin's own luxurious surroundings against him, employing a common power cable, a mundane object transformed into an instrument of justice, to exact his retribution. The sharp snap of the cable, the strangled gasp, the sudden silence, it's a brutally efficient, deeply satisfying end to the man who orchestrated so much suffering. Pushkin's reign of terror ends not with a bang, but with a suffocating, almost quiet finality. Robert then calmly exits the estate, leaving behind a profound stillness, a testament to the fact that no amount of money or power can protect you from an equalizer with a clear conscience and a lethal set of skills. With Pushkin gone, the main threat is neutralized, and the world is, incrementally, a slightly safer place thanks to Robert McCall. He returns to his quiet life, but something has fundamentally changed. He hasn't just found peace. He's embraced his true calling. The last scene shows Robert back in his apartment, looking at an online advertisement he's created, offering his services to those in desperate need. The words on the screen are simple. Got a problem? Odds against you? Call the Equalizer. It's a powerful and hopeful conclusion. He's no longer running from his past. He's actively using his formidable skills for good, becoming a beacon of hope for the voiceless and the vulnerable. The soft click of his keyboard, the gentle hum of his computer replaced the sounds of violence. It's not about grand gestures or flashy heroics, but about quiet, deliberate action, one problem at a time. The final shot is of Robert, a calm smile gracing his lips, his eyes reflecting a newfound purpose and a quiet satisfaction. He's found his equilibrium, his balance, by helping others find theirs. The journey from a man trying to escape his past to a man embracing his unique abilities for justice is complete. It's an inspiring thought. Sometimes, the greatest heroes are the ones who just decide to finally do something, armed with nothing but their own unique brand of grit and an unwavering moral compass. He's not just equalizing. He's inspiring, showing us that one person can truly make a difference. One problem at a time. And that, my friends, is a pretty powerful message to leave us with. So, as the credits roll, we're left with the satisfying thought that somewhere out there, Robert McCall is still keeping the balance, one broken bone and one hopeful heart at a time.